Good morning and welcome to the Adult Education and Workforce Development Statewide webinar for January 12th, 2022. I am Jerry Hafner. I'm coming to you from Camp Atterbury. Joining me is the Adult Education team. Rob Moore is with us this morning and special guest. Let's begin the new year with success stories. My name is George Davis. I am 18 years old and I am from Sullivan, Indiana. I started with Vincennes University Adult Education in April of 2021. I was homeschooled from kindergarten until 8th grade. And my freshman year, I went to Sullivan High School until my junior year. That's when I dropped out. I did not feel like I was doing busy work. The early times were a convenience for me since I could come to class and be done by 11:30, and then I could go to work. I specifically chose this class for the times, and I liked that there were different teachers. My teacher really helped me and kept the class fun and interesting. With her help, I had to take my test just one time, and I passed it in May of this year. Congratulations. By completing this goal, I am done with high school and I can get on with what I need to do next. It also gives me the freedom to choose what I'm going to do with my life. It's a great program and they really care about their students. I made a great connection with my teacher and I loved the games we played to make learning fun. Our second success story is actually here with us this morning. She is Annette Armstrong Williams. Annette is an amazing story. She was once an adult education student. She is now the lead ABE instructor for Heinz Career Center in Elwood. It hasn't always been an easy journey. It never is. But she has forged some lasting partnerships during this time. Nick Hyatt of the Noblesville Work One said of Annette, thanks in large part to her, the partnership between Heinz Career Center and Noblesville Work One has never been stronger. Well, good morning, Annette. We're all eager to hear your story.
Hi, everyone. My name is Annette Armstrong Williams. As Jerry mentioned, I did start out in an adult ed program. And I've told my students this all the time. Whenever I get new students, I just kind of share with them my story so that they can see exactly where they can end up. It just takes a lot of hard work and grit and perseverance. But when I was 16, I was a homeless runaway from a very abusive home. I tried to make it through high school and it was just very difficult working full time, commuting to the high school I was attending at the time. It was just very difficult. So then towards the middle of my senior year, I was able to go through an adult ed program there in Washington Township. And I was able to finish up my high school education in a total of 8 days. And that really allowed me to focus on working and start preparing to apply to colleges, which I did, and I got into IUPUI. I graduated in the year 2000 with my high school diploma and then went to IUPUI. Now it took me, and I tell my students this, life happens. It took me until 2012 to get my bachelor's degree, and that was a very long road. I had a lot going on in life. I ended up raising my sisters who were also in that same abusive home. I took them out and I raised them. So I kept plugging away, trying to get that bachelor's degree. I was in and out and in and out. But like I tell my students and have always told them, I just didn't give up. You just have to be determined. So once I got my bachelor's in 2012 from Ball State, then I went on to immediately start pursuing a master's degree. And then in 2014, I was able to start as a teaching assistant for the Heinz Career Center in Elwood. and I just wanted in the classroom. I had been a TA at IUPUI for a time, and I just loved being in the classroom. I knew I wanted to be a teacher. So when I saw an opening for the Heinz Career Center as a teaching assistant in Noblesville, I just really jumped at that. I just wanted to be in the classroom. And that's where I started. And then in May of 2015, I graduated with my first master's. And shortly after that, in July of 2015, I started teaching. So then I started teaching the daytime Noblesville classes and also at Hamilton County Community Corrections. And it was just, I felt at home. My students, I've always told them, you know, I am one of you. I understand why you're here. I understand you're here because things didn't work out in life for you the way that maybe they did for many of your peers. And I understand, you know, I get it. I was once in your position. So now look, I'm your teacher, you know, so just keep going. You know, I can meet you where you're at. We can get done with this as quickly, or we can take our time, whatever it is that you need. I'm here for you because I've been where you are. So then I was teaching since 2015, and just this year, this month, I am now lead teacher for the Heinz Career Center in Elwood. So that's kind of where I started and where I've ended up today.
What a remarkable story. Thank you so much, Annette, for sharing your story of coming from adult education to becoming the lead adult education instructor for Heinz Career Center, and I'm sure in the future a leader for Indiana adult education. So thank you so much. What an incredible story and an incredible journey.
Thank you so much.
You are more than welcome. Well, let's move on to the next slide. Adult Education Day at the State House will be celebrated in just a couple of weeks on Monday, January 24th. The program begins at 10:30, that's Eastern Standard Time. We will recognize student essay contest winners and recognize business and industry partnerships. Our professional association, IAACE, is coordinating the event with the State Adult Education Office. Our dear colleague and friend, Rob Moore, is here this morning. He is the Advocacy Chair for IAACE. He is here to tell you more. Welcome, Rob.
Thank you. So yes, we did have a group from IAACE, a committee of the board of directors, work with Marilyn and Jerry and Kim from the communications office at DWD to lead us in putting this event together. And we really need everyone to be there. Just let you know, it is not a rally. It's not a protest of any kind. In fact, I have to say we're not really directly and deliberately asking for anything. It's an event that will be for education of our state decision makers and for celebration. So as Jerry said, we will be hearing from our essay, or not actually recognizing our essay contest winners. We're going to hear from Fred Payne, our commissioner. We're going to celebrate our business partners who have moved their businesses to the next level through partnerships with our adult education programs. We are working on a governor's proclamation to congratulate us for the nationwide recognitions and accomplishments that we have done for our students in Indiana. Secondly, I'd like to mention that you can bring students to it. Again, we're not rallying or protesting, but it might be very educative for them to see what they are part of from a statewide level. You can bring community partners. We are inviting all of our legislators, and IAACE is taking care of that part on the state level and through some invitations, but you can also, we really could use you to remind your legislators to come. It'll be in the North Atrium on that day. Let you know also in preparing for that day that parking and traffic might be a little bit heavier than usual downtown because the legislature is in session. And also another event that particular day will be the State of Indiana March for Life. So there'll be some business down there. So I invite you, don't try to show up just at 10:30. Maybe you want to come a little bit earlier so you can get good traffic flow into your parking space. And following that event, Jerry will talk about the adult education directors and PDF meeting that will happen in the afternoon. So be there, we need you. We need to celebrate and educate folks who need education on the work that we do. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Rob. After the formal program at the State House, you will have about an hour for lunch. Lunch is on your own, and we will reconvene in the afternoon at the Indiana Government South. There will be meetings, as Rob mentioned, for directors and professional development facilitators, PDFs. Directors will meet, as you can see on the slide there, in rooms 4 and 5. PDFs will meet in room 19. You were sent information earlier from our office about the day, including directions and parking information. At both events, plan to arrive early for security checks. You will go through 2 different security checks, one at the State House and then the second one in the afternoon at the Government Center. Building visitors will be required to go through metal detectors, and all bags and packages will be x-rayed and may be subject to further inspection. Individuals with medical devices need to notify Capitol Police officers staffing the entrance so that a search can be conducted with a handheld metal detector. Also, please be sure to bring identification with you. And if you park in one of our state garages, we provided you information and directions on the state garages. Please, in the afternoon, bring your parking ticket to the afternoon session, whether it be PDF or the director session, and we will get those validated for you. In other words, your parking will be free for the day. So we're excited, as Rob said, about our day, Adult Education Day at the State House. So as Rob said, please be there and please support all of our good work that we do throughout the state of Indiana. Roy is here this morning and he is subbing for Bart Doan, who could not be with us this morning, but Roy has the JAG report. Good morning, Roy.
Good morning. Thank you, Jerry, and good morning, everyone. We are rapidly closing in on regional career development conferences. Take a quick picture of the schedule for the 12 regional competitions, as well as the logistics for state CDC. Please reach out to Bart Doan if you are interested in attending a regional or state event, and he will connect you with that region's leadership. Next slide, please. Are you on Twitter? JAG National is highlighting JAG Indiana in its first follow campaign of 2022. The competition runs through Thursday, January 13th. Next slide, please. The requirements are you have to like one of the follow campaign posts, follow at JAG Indiana and Genius JAG, and at Jobs for MI Grads on Twitter. Comment with your New Year's resolution. The winner will get a $50 Amazon gift card and JAG swag. So be sure to do that. Next slide, please. Today we have Tanya here from Hse. Okay, well, I'll turn it over to Jerry.
As I was going to say, Roy, we have Tanya here from Hse. I understand that Adam is traveling today, so welcome, Tanya.
Thank you, and Happy New Year to everyone. Feels like we're already a month in, but it's just been a couple of days or a couple of weeks now. So just want to remind everyone that if you do have any questions, please do reach out to us. We're here for you, especially if you are having adjustments with the new years and the new forms. So please feel free to reach out to either myself or to Adam. Many of you know Adam, and that we are looking forward to hopefully seeing you in person sometime soon.
Thank you so much, Tanya, and thank you for taking a few minutes this morning to join us in your very, very tight schedule. So thank you again.
Thank you.
Well, to follow up, Megan has some further Hse and testing updates. So good morning, Megan.
Good morning. Thank you, Jerry. Good morning, everyone, and Happy New Year to everybody. We are looking forward to 2022. Hopefully it'll be very promising. I do have some reminders and some updates for you. Next slide, please. On our testing policy, we did update it. We no longer require students to take the full battery before they can retake any tests. And we did backdate this to January of 2021, which means that if you have any students that did not pass the test last year due to not having the battery completed before they retested, they now have a high school equivalency. So if they have not received their credentials for this reason, please send me an email and I will make for sure that they do receive their official documents. So as I was saying, going back to the not having to take the battery before they can retest, I do want to stress though that they still have to wait. They still have to so if they want to focus on one subject at a time, they may do so. Next slide, please. Okay, retest. This is where I was getting into. So they still have 3 forms in a calendar year, and they still have to wait 30 days in between each form. So if a student takes a test in January and does not pass, and takes a test in February, they do not pass, and they have March to pass. If they do not pass come March of this year, they have to wait into 2023. So please make for sure that when you are sending your students to take the test, they will pass the first time. And they still have to wait 30 days in between retakes. Next slide, please. Okay, mixing and matching forms. I've had some questions regarding this, so I want to make for sure that we're all on the same page. If a student takes a paper test as their form of media for the original, the retest will also be on the paper. If they would like to change from paper to computer or vice versa, or change from computer to paper, there will be a small fee for that. But if a student uses one test on paper and wants to do a different subtest on computer, that is allowed. Next slide, please. Okay, new forms. Any unused forms from 2021 must be mailed back ASAP. If you have not received any instructions on this, please let me know. I'll be more than happy to make for sure that you do have those instructions on how to mail back any of those tests from 2021. Please note that on 2022 forms, it will say 2022. The other note that I would like to say about this is that on the unused answer sheets, you may go ahead and keep those answer sheets for new tests. You don't have to mail back the answer sheets. Those will not change from year to year, so you can use those. But I would like to mention, though, that we've had some. It's been come to the state's attention that last week on January 3rd, 4th, and 5th, that there was been some students that had tested. If you have had someone that tested on an old form on January 3rd, 4th, or 5th, please email me or let me know as soon as possible. Hse will be grading those tests, and those students will still have an opportunity to take the test again without any kind of reprimandation. So which means that they will still be able to take the test and they won't be reprimanded, and they will still have the same amount of opportunities for 2022. Next slide, please. Okay, mailing out documents. If you have been receiving documents or requested to be receiving documents on behalf of your students and you have not been receiving those documents, please contact the Diploma Center directly. And if you don't mind, just keep me updated. Send me a short email. The last thing I want to do is cause more work for you all, but if you all can keep me in the loop, that would be great. But I would go ahead and try to contact them and just see what they have to say on your documents. And if you have a student in a situation that has not started a HSET test, please let me know. That way the student can receive her documents due to the change of testing policy. Next slide, please. Thank you. That's all I have for today.
Thank you very much, Megan. Lots of information there between you and Tanya, so thank you again. Well, Jose, let's transition to the Indiana Career Explorer, and Jose is here this morning with some updates. Welcome, Jose.
Thank you very much, Jerry. Good morning, everyone. Just want to give quick updates on our academic and career coaching. Again, we do have our career coaching website. It's up for all career coaches across the state. Again, we've done research with I'd say about all the surrounding states in the Midwest, and we're proud to say there's no site like this that's comprehensive, that has professional development, resources, tools, organizational stuff. If you want to join any organization, we have information there. And so again, definitely want to check that out for your career coaches. And if not, I'll make sure that we get the email link to Donna that you can send out to everyone. All right, next slide. Okay, next slide. Thank you. Indiana Career Explorer updates. Again, first want to apologize and for everyone. We did have a planned date start of a lot earlier. Again, just because of decisions made over our head, we had to wait on certain aspects. We've hit every legislative component for this rollout. And so I'm happy to say phase 2 is pretty much complete. Our Indiana Career Explorer rollout will be January 26th. We have a special adult ed training orientation that you will receive an invite by me after this meeting. This will be for our directors and our career coaches. It'll be on January 19th, 2:30. About this meeting. It will be recorded, but your attendance is paramount on this, and you want to make sure that we have the most attendance as possible. In that time, we will have our career user guides for our career researcher, also our director. Again, our case manager will have a resource guide and tools as well for that date. So be looking for that date. Be looking for that that invitation from me. And again, if you have any questions, please do not hesitate to call me or email me. And I pretty much, I believe everyone has my email. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Jose. Really appreciate it. Well, let's move on to all things fiscal. Donna Lovelady's here this morning. So good morning, Donna.
Good morning, Jerry, and hello to everyone. Adult education staff are preparing mid-year incentives. The amended contracts will be emailed to your program's designated signatory. If that person has changed, please notify me immediately so we don't have a disruption in the contract amendment process. Also, if you need to have a budget modification, now is the time to send that to me or remind me if you've requested one in the last few weeks. Next slide. Still working toward a zero balance? Well, our spending has increased some since our December call. The statewide has gone up from 23% to 33%. And all but one region has increased their spending in the past month. So we need to keep that going, but we still have 6 of our adult ed providers who have not sent in any reimbursements since the beginning of this program year. In IELCE spending, 6 out of our 8 providers have reimbursed so far this year, but only 21% of our funding has been reimbursed. And finally, for Hse Fee reimbursements, as of today, 25 out of 43 participating providers have reimbursed for Hse fees. We have had $33,616 reimbursed out of $230,000. So we must remember this is state funding that we will lose at the end of the program year. And I will say 3 words to you that we don't normally get to say: spend, spend, spend. Now back to Jerry.
Thank you, Donna. Spin, spin, spin. Wow. Couldn't said it more concisely. Thank you very much, Donna. Well, let's move on to professional development. And as I mentioned earlier, Rob Moore and myself I have the pleasure and the honor to be here at Camp Atterbury. We have had 3 programs here at Camp Atterbury, McDowell Adult Education Center, along with Central 9, along with Broadview Learning Center, Rob's program here that we want to acknowledge. And I think we would all have to say during the several weeks that we have been here, we have probably gained more from this experience than maybe the actual ELL learners that we've come across and know as our friends. So as you can see behind me, the poster that says simply thank you. We have a lot of thanks to give, not only to our Afghan friends, but to our adult education programs that have really stepped up to the plate and delivered some really quality services to folks who needed it the most, really needed the most. So Amy is here this morning. She's going to talk a little bit more about Operation Allies and what we have done here at Camp Atterbury, and she will also share some professional development updates. Good morning, Amy.
Good morning. I had the opportunity a couple of different times to be down at Camp Atterbury, and I just want to give a big shout out to Megan Schaff and her ELL teachers, as well as Michelle Davis, her ELL teachers, and Rob Moore and his program. The staff, the adult education ELL staff, worked under very unusual circumstances. They were moved from one building to another. They never knew from one day to another which Afghan guests were going to show up, if they had already been relocated or not. And so they worked under some pretty unusual circumstances. And I have to really give a big shout out to the ELL teachers and the directors, because they filled in as well, teaching ELL classes. They completely rolled with the punches and really just were the shining stars for the Afghan guest. That their composure and their willingness to help and their willingness to listen to the Afghan guest stories and take those and put a positive spin on it. I had the opportunity of listening to Arlene one afternoon, ELL teacher for McDowell, to hear part of her class, and she listened to some pretty uncomfortable situations that the Afghan guests have found themselves in, and pretty dangerous situations, and she really embraced them and embraced their story and helped them to find a way to move forward. That now they are here, there's a path for them, there's security, there's food availability and resources, and so it was just very rewarding. And particularly over the holidays, when we tend to think of gratitude a little more strongly, it really spoke to me and to make me grateful for all that I have in my life, because I have not endured anything close to what the Afghan guests have endured, and it just really brings gratitude to the spotlight. So thank you to Rob and Megan, Michelle, their ELL teachers, for all of their effort. They really, really have done a tremendous job under some strange teaching circumstances. So big shout out to them and thank you. Moving on, reminder that the second quarter report for the PDFs is due February 4th. It was originally set for December, but with the transitions from Dan to myself and a few other items, we decided to bump that to February 4th. So mark that on your calendar. That's less than a month away. Also feeding off of Donna's comments about getting to a zero balance, now might be a good time for programs to assess their teaching tools and resources, that some of the materials that they have that are task oriented may no longer be as effective with the HSET. And since we're now fully HSET, now is a good time, if you're trying to spend down those extra dollars, to look for resources that are specific to the HSET exam that might be more of an effective teaching tool. If you need assistance looking for resources or analyzing resources, please reach out to me. I would be more than willing to help any program that's considering other resources. If it's something that someone else is using, I can compare you together with another program to get a firsthand opinion of what those resources are and how effective they are, if they like them, if there are things about them they don't like. So please reach out to me if you have any questions. Also, while I'm talking about PDF information, just a reminder for January 24th, as Jerry said, the PDS will meet with Roy Melton and myself from 1 to 3. If you have concerns or questions, please feel free to bring those with you at that time. We'd be happy to discuss any additional things that we haven't placed on the agenda, but if we'll leave some time open so that if you want to discuss other things that are maybe specific to your program or might relate to other programs as well, feel free to bring those with you. The next part is success stories. Those had been going to Dan, and then I think temporarily they were being sent to Roy. Success stories, please start sending the success stories to me. Just as a reminder, they should come monthly from each program. They should be written by the student. It's a wonderful opportunity to do a writing assignment in preparation for their essay on the HSET. So please have it in the student voice. The teacher is, of course, able to give guidance and suggestions and assistance, but please make sure that it's the student's experience, not the teacher's perspective. That way we get details that we might not otherwise receive, getting it from the teacher's perspective. It's also a good way to do some digital literacy practice, because they can start out on paper, you can transition to typing it on the computer so that they're working on typing an essay on the computer. Some students are one-finger typers, and this might help bump up some of their digital literacy skills so that they're preparing for the essay for when they're ready to take the HSET. So thank you on that. Dollar General Literacy Foundation, I'm available to help anyone who would like to apply. The date, I just checked again today, the date is now out on the Dollar General website. The date for the application is February 17th at 10 p.m. Central Time. I think their corporate office is possibly by Chicago, I can't remember. But anyway, if you are looking for some additional funding, this is a wonderful opportunity to capture up to $10,000. They will offer $10,000 to programs. Just as an FYI, if you're thinking about applying and not sure that your request would be accepted or not, in 2021, Indiana only had 9 awards, but Texas had 33 awards. So just because you know of other programs in our state that are applying, that does not seem to have an impact on whether or not you will receive an award. Tennessee had 31, North Carolina had 18, Ohio had 18 as well, and Kentucky had 17. So if you are seeking out additional resources, this is a wonderful opportunity. It can be used for anything that is student related. If you need new desktops or laptops or Chromebooks, those items can be used, the funding can be used for those as well. So be sure to check out the application. If you'd like assistance with that, I'd be more than happy to help you with that grant application. And some teacher tools that I've come across over the last month or so. usalearns.org is a teaching tool. I looked at the website, spent a little time kind of playing on it. I think it's a pretty good resource for distance education, for citizenship students, for low to possibly intermediate ESL instruction. There's even a section on the preparation for the naturalization interview that gives some tips and tools to kind of help get naturalization candidates more comfortable in the application process. So this can be used as primarily, I would think, as a distance tool, but could also be somewhat of an education or an in-class tool in the particularly in the naturalization section. Another teaching tool opportunity is 180 Skills. That is currently available until June 30th of this year. There are employability skills, technical skills, industry recognized credentials within the 180 Skills. If you are considering using the industry recognized credentials, please contact Roy Melton if it's going to be something like an IET or a WEI, and request approval through him. Just make sure that you've dotted all the right T's and dotted all the right I's and crossed all the T's to make sure that you know, the curriculum will match the IET requirements. Also a very good resource. It's another tool to have in your belt to pull from. That is a very good resource. One other teaching tool that's an upcoming tool is the WIN Digital Literacy. That is currently being worked on. That will have statewide availability also, and I will keep you abreast as to when those seats become officially available. One last point before we move on to Laura, the study circles flyer that went out mid-December, I heard from Ginger regarding the study circles. There's been a few modifications due to social distancing restrictions. So originally the in-person sessions were going to be held at the Central Library in Indianapolis. The Central Library has canceled in-person meetings. So now those study circles for the ELL program through IUPUI will be held on IUPUI's campus. Once Ginger has a number for the in-person participants, she will arrange for a room to allow for social distancing. So she doesn't have a room number as of yet, but for those participants that have already enrolled, she will be sending out directions on campus how to get to the room in particular, and once she has a final number. There is still the option of participating in this ELL study circles as a virtual student candidate. So if you're not comfortable or if the distance is too great for traveling, please feel free to sign up virtually. One last reminder on that, the application date for the study circles is this Friday, January 14th. So if you're giving it consideration, please be sure to reach out to Ginger and let her know, complete your application and that information for her. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Amy. Lots of good information, and thank you for sharing your experiences here at Camp Atterbury and for acknowledging Broadview, Central 9, and McDowell for the great work that they have done. I can't say enough. It was interesting yesterday here that the teacher from McDowell in the afternoon, many of the smaller children were also here. So she not only worked with the adults, but she had an opportunity to spend some time with the children as well. And I kind of jokingly said to her, but sort of in a serious way. Well, we just saw family literacy right here at Camp Atterbury going on, and she did just a tremendous job. Rob and I were just sort of blown out of the water how well she was able to sort of roll with the punches and provide for 3+ hours, really a great lesson for our Afghan friends. So thank you to our programs, and Amy, thank you to you. I don't know if you've heard, but we mentioned it last month. Laura Pastor will be joining the state team on January 24th. Now, January 24th, if you've heard that date, you're coming to the State House. You also, at that time, we'll be celebrating having Laura join our staff, and you can wish her all the best and say hello to her, because she and I will be doing the directors meeting in the afternoon from 1 to 3, while Amy and Roy are doing the PDF meeting. So welcome, Laura. As many of you know, she's coming to us as the Director of Instructional Design. She has been employed by Washington Township Schools for more than a decade, and she has served more recently as Assistant Supervisor of Community and Continuing Education, a position that she's held for the last 10 years. And Laura will coordinate all things instruction here in adult education at the state level, and I know she's eager to get started, and we will be welcoming her on the 24th, as well as celebrating at the State House. So welcome, Laura. As I mentioned again, and I want to mention again this time, as I mentioned last month in our statewide webinar, we still have one more position yet to fill. It's for an adult education outreach coordinator. And this individual will be responsible for helping Hoosiers identify goals, prioritize needs, connect to adult education services and community resources to advance, obviously, their education, their training, their career needs. The person who will be hired for this position will help prospective students and you providers identify and make connections through a referral network. And if you know of qualified individuals, please have them visit the state personnel website to get more information and to apply. And as Donna mentioned earlier, the mid-year incentive. Amy and Roy pulled the mid-year performance reports. I believe they pulled those on January 3rd. December 31st was actually a state holiday. They have compiled the numbers, and as Donna mentioned, we will be getting you those final figures, your incentive funding, very, very soon. And on a related note, Donna has already prepared the documents for the grant continuation for program year 2022. That year begins on July 1, 2022. The process will be very similar that you completed for this year for the program year 2021. Your updates that you will provide us will be 5 pages or less. It's sort of going to be the short form, and I know you will appreciate that, and that should be good news, but that will be coming out in the coming weeks. We will also be getting you estimated budget amounts for program year 2022 along with the short form, so that you can provide us any updates that have occurred over the last year within your program. And with that, Roy is here again this morning with the IET and WEI updates. Right now, he's going to come to you as Roy Mountain and not Bart Home. Good morning again, Roy.
Thank you, Jerry. Thank you for clearing that up. Hello again, everyone. You can go to the next slide. First, I want to thank everyone for their patience and putting in all the time on the curriculums and IET WI applications. Contextualizing adult education activities is extremely time consuming. So there are so many I want to thank. I was afraid that I was going to leave some people off. So I just want to thank everyone for your help. You have helped me expand my understanding of the new WI measurable skill gains, and I've been impressed by your creativity. I had the pleasure of presenting about some of our programs to other states, and Indiana is truly a leader in adopting the newest measurable skill gains, and we owe it all to you. So thank you very much. Next slide, please. All right, now let's get into some mid-year data. Yes, that's right. Last year at this time, we had 8 IELCE courses, and this year we increased to 33. And yes, that is a 313% increase. I checked my math, it's right. Last year at this time, we had 99 enrollments, and this year we have 497. And yes, that is a 402% increase. Considering last year that we ended about 650 enrollments, and right now we're about at 500. We are well on our way to surpassing that. So great work to NEO, Elkhart, HEA, Washington, and Monroe. Thank you all for your hard work. Next slide, please. All right. The good news continues when we look at our WEIs. We have a 7% increase in course offerings with a 45% increase in enrollments when compared to last year at this same time, with the largest increases coming from regions 5, 8, 9, 10, and 11. Really impressive. I like to see the 76% increase in certifications, with the largest increases coming from 5, 9, and 11. This means we have 76% more workplace certification programs. We are meeting our students where they are at, keeping them employed, helping them advance, or giving them a leg up when they apply for the new job. Not to mention working closely with employers for the betterment of our students. Really great work. Next slide, please. All right, when we look at our IETs, interestingly, we had a 7% decrease in IET courses, but we were able to increase our IET enrollments by 11%. That shows me that we are becoming more efficient with the courses that we are offering, and our efficiency is also demonstrated by being able to maintain an 86% certification rate. We had the same rate last year, and we have it right now. Great job. Lastly, we increased our certifications by 21% when compared to last year, with some of our larger increases coming from regions 1, 5, 9, 11, and IDOC. Great work. Next slide, please. Okay, looking forward, please continue to continuously update your certifications and WEI MSGs. Be on the lookout for documentation requests for if you're using one of the new WEI measurable skill gains. This will be the same documentation that we agreed upon when you submitted your application and it got approved. We will also be doing monitoring of programs in some of your IET WEI courses. I will also be working more closely with our regional service managers. I will be going to an RSM meeting this month, and they have been coming to your regional meetings. A quick note about the regional meetings. Please try your best to come to those regional meetings. A lot, if not all, of the state team comes to your regional meetings, and we really do look forward to working with you in that small group setting. And often we are able to answer your questions and solve problems right there in the meeting. So please, 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 please try your best to attend those. That is all from me. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Roy. You did a great job as Bart. All righty, let's look at some data. We compared program year 2021 to program year 2020. Obviously, Roy went through the WEI and IET data. This is the total statewide data. And if we go to the next slide, there we go. Indiana's total enrollment is up by nearly 1,500 students from the same time a year ago. This is a 14% increase, which is really good news. A large portion of that increase is with ELL students. And since not much of the data has been entered from Camp Atterbury, this is ELL students who are actually physically attending your programs in your communities across our state of Indiana. So that is definitely good news. Our enrollment is slowly but surely coming back. Meanwhile, measurable skill gains are up by more than 2 percentage points. Obviously, in this, you have the new measurable skill gains that Roy mentioned. However, as you can see on your screen, from 2020 Our HICs are down by about 520 from the same time a year ago. While we want to build up our HSCs, I'm sure that this is somewhat attributed to the task of ending in October or late January and the beginning July 1 of bringing in a new test vendor, Hse. So that is sort of the ticker tape, if you will, of what we have done so far this year, comparing January 10th of 2022 to January 8th of 2021. So good job overall, and it's good to see that the measurable skill gains are staying about the same and that our enrollment has moved up. Next slide, please. Well, Matt is here this morning with some enters updates and information about some changes in enters. Good morning, Matt.
Good morning, Jerry. Happy New Year, everybody. Yes, I am Matt. So I got a lot of questions over the new year because we had talked about last month that on table 4, the new MSG column, G, which is for IETs, is now actually counting all of the WEI stuff. And if you put that in correctly and the app was done right, that when you mark that stuff, it would now count. Now, I got a whole bunch of questions of, hey, my students aren't counting. I don't see the counts. They are, and I've done a whole bunch of checking. All of those students are counting. So when you run your audit and you scroll over to the right where all the gains columns are, after the IET column, there's a column that says what they're enrolled in, and we made the column header IET instead of trying to be IET, WI, whatever. In that column, it'll be an I, a B, or a W, and that means that they're an IET student, a WEI student, or they're both. It's a combination course. Right next to that is a column that says IET MSG or IET MSG gain. If there is a 1 in that column, that student is counting in your column G on table 4. It's still going to be tricky trying to figure out exactly who your students are for your MSGs, HSEs, and your certs because it's based on the last gain they got. Okay, so when you're looking at that, take that into account. So the easiest way to do it is to sort by the IET column first, highlight those students, anybody that's got a 1, and if those all add up to what the number is on your table 4, that's good. Then sort it by your HSEs, highlight those in a different color, then sort it by your MSGs, highlight those in a different color, and then you should be able to get every student that is counting in one of those 3 columns and where they're counting at for you, so that you, knowing your students, will have a better understanding of where they're counting. In regards to all of that, also, coming soon, I will send out an email for training. I will do not an in-person training. I'm going to set up a Teams meeting for several different training dates that are going to be like we used to do at the lab. There's going to be an introduction. You do not have to attend all of these, but we're going to get back to where you can attend training virtually and ask questions and be on the call and do all of that stuff, so that we cover the training that's required for everybody. So I'll get to that, Polly. That's probably going to be in the training too, just like the reports training that we did. She just asked, can we send out an email on that audit process? Other than that, we're also still going to have the meetings with Steve Sherb, who is the programmer of Enters. Those will be a limited invite only type of thing every other month or quarter or something, so that we can get your feedback on what's working and not working in Enters, or things that you want to see, that just to get him involved in listening to what your guys' feedback is. So we did one of those in-persons a couple of months ago, and it was good. We got a lot of information out of it. So we're gonna do those virtually as well. As far as the trainings, I don't know what the limit is. I really don't know what the limit is on a Teams meeting. So when we get those out, just go ahead and register, email back, and and I'll say, okay, yeah, you can attend or whatever, and then we'll go from there. And if I have to do more than one, I'll do more than one to get everybody in. So that's all I have, Jerry. We do have quite a few questions that we'll need to cover at the end.
All righty, very good. But before we do those questions, we do not want to forget Jen from IAACE. Jen, welcome and good morning.
Welcome. Hello. How y'all doing? Thanks so much for the time today. First off, I want you to go to IAACE.com/conference promo immediately after this call and vote for which logo you would like for the conference. Doesn't matter whether you're a member of IAACE, if you have any interest in attending the conference or have ever attended the conference in the past, we would love your vote on which conference logo you would like. Next slide. Adult Education Day. If you haven't heard about this yet, well, I'm not going to say it. Monday, January 24th, 10:30 a.m. Eastern. It's at the North Atrium of the Indiana State House. SA winners will be announced. They have been notified. And business partner recognition will also take place, as well as a lot of other wonderful things. Please expect your official invite from IAACE in your inbox today with all further details. And we'll see you on the 24th for sure. Next slide. Just some FYIs, you might want to start thinking about being on the board of directors. The nominations for the IAACE board of directors will open very soon. So start your thinking caps on whether you would be a great fit for the IAACE board. And an official notification that the annual meeting will be on May 6th. Next slide, she got it already. The membership dues are $55 a year, and we are always expanding our list of benefits. Look at that list of benefits, and they keep expanding and expanding and expanding. So I encourage you to take a look at the website if you're not a member and talk to an IAACE member. You can see some quotes up in the corner there from Carolyn Feister that the networking is great. Connectivity and advocacy from Natalie, and Cynthia's favorite benefit of being an IAACE meeting is meeting new and working with interesting people and sharing ideas. And then Mandy's is being a COA member too. The thing about IAACE is we're not just a membership, we're a community. Next slide. Recruiting blogs and newsletter articles on your news. If you would like your news in the IAACE newsletter, I encourage you to submit them to me via email by January 19th. And that's all I've got, Jerry.
Thank you so much, Jen. Again, lots of good information, and thank you for all the hard work that you do for our professional association. It is greatly appreciated.
Thanks, Jerry.
And before I say our final goodbyes for today, and we take some final questions, as Matt indicated earlier, 3 or 4 words here. Donna's words, spend, 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 and Rob's message, January 24th, beginning at 10:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. We will see you there at the State House. Please join us for our next webinar, February 9th. We will email a registration link as we get closer to the date, as we always do. Please have a good afternoon, and as I said earlier, we'll see you on the 24th at Adult Education Day at the State House. Matt, you have questions from
I got questions.
For my dear friend here, Rob Moore.
Rob Moore, come on, take it over. All right, so first question is from Lance Halsey. On the 24th, are masks required?
For the adults at the White House? State
Yes.
House?
Yes. On the, I said the 24th. What's going on the 24th, Rob? I don't know.
Yes. The answer to the question is we need to do whatever the State House does. So the answer I gave you today might change by the time we get to the 24th. So I would bring a face covering. and follow the guidelines that you see posted on the door of the State House at that time.
Okay. Also, in regards to the 24th, will teachers and others who only attend the morning session at the State House also have their parking validated?
The answer is no, because it will be very difficult at that event to collect the parking tickets to get them validated, quite honestly. So you need to attend the afternoon session where we have you in rooms where we can do a collective, pick up the tickets and then redistribute them.
Okay.
So unfortunately, no.
All right. This is more of a question that was for Tanya. She's off, I know, but Megan, Lauren Bell is saying that she cannot get ETS to respond about getting our vendor packets in so we can pay ETS for our bills for testing. And she's contacted them several times to no avail. Do you want Lauren to reach out to you directly?
Yes, please, and she can forward me any correspondence between her and Hse. That would be much appreciated.
Okay. Also, Megan, do you know what the fee will be to switch from PBT to CBT or vice versa for a subject retest?
No, I did not. I would have to ask Hse that question if and when that is applicable. So I will have to reach out to them.
Okay. I have a question here about the Dollar General grant, and this is from John. He says, could the Dollar General grant be used for HiSET startup costs? I'm assuming that's an Amy question.
That isn't an Amy question. So Amy, if you would rejoin us.
Yes, from my understanding, when I applied for one in the past, that as long as it is student-based and learning-based, they will most likely approve of the application.
So that sounds like a yes.
If it is, yeah, if it's not directly student-related or student learning related, then they probably would not.
Okay. This is another one from Lauren. This is for Jerry. Will there be a virtual option on the 24th for the meetings, like the director or the PDF meetings, in case someone is uncomfortable being in a crowd at this time? Thanks.
No.
No.
No, there will not be.
That
So
is a no.
if you do feel uncomfortable, I would not attend. I would not attend. And of course, this has been a moving target, quite frankly, as we all know, and things change, as Rob alluded to. So if you do feel uncomfortable, if you're immune compromised, and I would not attend.
Okay.
Sure.
That was good.
Go
And this is an actual
Matt?
question for me. No, what?
One more postscript to that. Some people might be wondering if, for example, there is bad weather on the 24th, or COVID does get so rampant that they do start closing state offices, how do we know will we still be a go for the 24th? Here's what we'll go by. If the State House is open on the 24th, we are a go. If the State House is closed on the 24th for any reason, the event will be off. Okay?
Are we good with that? Okay. And then this was a question directly to me. No, Angie, and it's probably not ever going to work for combined dupes for you all. So you'll still have to email me duplicates. Oh, Jamie Gribbins, we're still working on. She had the question about when can we expect HiSET to data match with inters. We're still working on that. I will let you know that Steve currently is very bogged down. This is just a general thing. If you're expecting stuff to get done in inters, even to our state staff, Steve is currently bogged down with federal reporting for CTE. They have changed all of their federal, so when we go through a change that the feds want to see, he has to recode everything and it takes us a minute. He has rewritten the federal reports for CTE 5 different times to get it to try to count what they want because they didn't communicate. So again, we're dealing with the federal government. So he's a little slower. He said it's only going to be a few weeks, but that's just that. So HiSET stuff like that, not going to happen for a minute. Beth Ellen, it's the same thing. We're still not there. And then John, same thing. We're not there for high set scores into enters. So we can't enter scores and we can't do anything. Marilyn, you've got some words?
Yeah, when you're done with questions.
That was the last question I have.
Okay, and sorry for not getting a slide in on this. This is kind of like it was brought to my attention that I should probably say something to the field today. Effective with January 2020, the Workforce Ready Grant had some changes. Those of you that were actually Workforce Ready Grant training providers will be aware of this. But if you were using Workforce Ready Grant as a part of your IET process through another vendor, you may not be aware of some of these changes. So the CARES funding that we had available, which was a large amount of funding, expired effective 12/31/2021. We are now back to state-only funding and state-only eligibility for WRG. So what does that mean? Number one, it was a difference in $30 million that we've had over the last couple of years down to $3 million. So that in and of itself is a significant change. Some of the trainings that were eligible under CARES are no longer eligible under state funding. So you'll need to check within in training to make sure that these trainings are still eligible. And then a big change that may be impacting some of you is that training providers no longer are directly receiving WRG funding. All of the funding for the state WRG is now going through our Work One partners. For those of you that have been around for a few years, think of the Work Indiana model, where someone would go through the Work One to access those funds. So students will still go on to the WRG site and apply, but instead of being approved through the training provider, they have to be approved through the Work One. So if you have not yet, I would reach out to your Work Ones to make sure that you understand their processes and align those processes with your processes so that we can continue to see students served in adult education with these dollars. The $3 million that we have for this year needs to be used between January and June the 30th. So the Work Ones will be very busy trying to get students approved for that process. So they will need your help. The other thing that I will mention is, unlike Work Indiana, we do not require a full WIOA enrollment for WRG. However, some of your regions may require that. So it really is important that you reach out to your regional workforce boards and partners and understand what they're planning to do with that process. That's all I've got.
Yeah, on that note, I just want to chip in as an adult education local director. You want to become a Work Ready grant provider. The reason, there's all kinds of reasons. I'll just go over maybe one or two major ones. One is that there are customers in your region who are looking for training, and they still use the customer portal. So it's great leads to increase your enrollment, because for Work Ready grant, you have to have a high school diploma but no college degree, but they can indicate they have no high school diploma. And that's a great recruiting tool right there for your HSE classes, right? Okay. Another thing is it gets people into your program and spreads word about your program, but what you actually offer, what your actual mission is for education, training, employment. Okay. So become a Workforce Ready grant provider. If you just offer one training to start with, if you're not already, it's worth it in the recruiting and marketing and messaging that your program gets from it.
Thank you, Rob. Thanks all.
Thank you.
That's all I got, Jerry. There are no other questions.
Wonderful. Well, thank you again very much for joining us. We'll see you on the 24th. And if you're not able to attend, we'll see you again on February 9th at 10 o'clock. So have a great afternoon, and thank you for everything that you're doing for our adult education students across the state of Indiana.